Hello everyone. Today I'd like to talk about the Yeomen Warders, better known as the Beefeaters. You may have seen them either in pictures of the Tower of London or maybe you've seen them yourselves. But the Beefeaters, that's only a nickname. And actually the Yeomen Warders, that's a very much abbreviated name because their official name is, wait for it and I'll have to read this, their official name is Yeomen Warders of Her Majesty's Royal Palace and Fortress, the Tower of London, and members of the Sovereign's Bodyguard of the Yeoman Guard Extraordinary. That's some name. What are the Yeomen Warders? What are their functions? Well, officially, they are the ceremonial guardians of the Tower of London. And their tasks are to look after the prisoners in the Tower. Now, of course, nowadays, there are no prisoners in the Tower anymore. They also need to look after the crown jewels, and that is something they still do. The crown jewels are in the Tower of London. And ever since the 19th century, they also do guided tours of the Tower, which is nowadays their main function, really. Now, who are those Yeomen Warders, those Beefeaters? They are all retired soldiers, and all of them have had at least 22 years of service in one of the armed forces of Britain. And they're actually part of the Yeomen of the Guard. So the Yeomen Warders are only part of the Yeomen of the Guard. And that guard was established by Henry VII back in the 15th century, 1485 to be precise, and that's the beginning of the Tudor dynasty. So we have to go far back for that. It's not so simple to determine where their nickname comes from, their nickname the Beefeaters. Plenty of theories around as to the etymology of the Beefeaters, but nobody's sure really. I'll mention just a few in short. It might have to do with the fact that for a while they were also the food tasters for the king. Or maybe they got the name Beefeaters because they were given large rations of beef. Or maybe it's because they were servants, and in French, buffetiers, and that sounds like Beefeaters, and there are plenty more. One of the things that you do need to know is that Beefeaters, that was a nickname for the English in general in the 17th century. So maybe they just took over the general nickname for the English. The Beefeaters, they're known for their beautiful gala uniforms, that red and gold uniform that you've all seen and that you can see here. This is an approximation of what the Tudor Yeomen Warders would have looked like. And on that uniform you can see three symbols: the thistle, the rose and the shamrock. Three symbols of three of the countries of the UK. The thistle for Scotland, the rose for England and the shamrock for Ireland. Wales at that time was just part of England. Their normal uniform is a dark blue uniform with red trimmings. It still looks wonderful. And one more fact about the Yeomen Warders. One of them is the Raven Master, who is in charge of, who looks after the ravens of the Tower. Now that function is not all that old. And even that tradition of having ravens in the tower apparently is not all that old. You can't find any references to the ravens or the Raven Master before the 19th century, actually. So the Raven Masters, they weren't yet around when the Yeomen Warders were established. As always, I hope you found this interesting. If you did, give me a like. Don't hesitate to leave any comments, and I'll see you in the next clip. Bye-bye.